Hi guys, welcome back to our Express Pilates class. My name is Chris Neeson. I'm an exercise physiologist and the owner here at Better Exercise Physiology. Now I'm super excited to bring you today's class, and that is because it is number 20. We've been putting out episodes each week for the last 19 weeks. You can find them all on the website at betterexercise.com.au. When we started this, it was just to get a client doing some extra Pilates work at home, and we've just had so much really good feedback that we've continued them, and we will continue them for as long as you're enjoying them. So leave a comment below, let us know what you think, and we'll get stuck straight into today's class. Lying on your back, go from there. Okay, so we'll start with some knee rolls on your back. It's going to be with the feet together, arms out at the side, just rolling your knees side to side, letting them drop all the way out, then coming back to the middle, and then rolling across to the other side. Keep the shoulders relaxed, keep the head and neck relaxed. It's a long weekend. This weekend we might make the class just a little bit shorter. That way, if you don't have a whole lot of time, we can just get through it pretty quickly and still get your workout for the day. And what we're going to be focusing on is hip mobility. A lot of people are really tight around their hip joints, so around those sockets at their hips. So if we can just loosen up a few of the muscles around the front and the inner thigh as well, and then get a little bit of strength through the back of the hip, it helps an enormous amount in terms of how mobile and how flexible you are around those hips. And that's really important, particularly as you get older, just for how well those muscles function and how well those joints function, just for everyday things really. Getting up and down out of a chair, as simple as that, can be quite difficult if you don't have good hip mobility. So we'll work around a few exercises just to loosen up your hip, and just in general, these Pilates-based movements are really good for your hip mobility. As we work on core strength, as we work on your glute strength and your hip strength, it's all just going to improve that mobility so much. Okay, we'll do a couple more with your feet apart. So this is getting a bit of a stretch around the side and the front of the hips now. So rolling the knees out to the side. Think about bringing this knee down towards your heel, and then back to the middle, and then to the other side. Knee down towards the heel, and then going again. Just gently push into that stretch, just as far as is comfortable. For some people it might be a little bit uncomfortable at first if you do have any sort of injuries to the lower back or hip. So just go to a point that's comfortable, and you'll find as those muscles warm up, as the joint warms up, you'll be able to go a little bit further each time. Just a couple more either side. You should feel that range of movement increasing. Just as we loosen up, as the hips give a little bit, you should feel it just going a little bit further. Okay, and coming back to the middle. We're going to continue lying on your side into some clams, which we've done a couple of times before. It's with the knees bent and your heels together, just lifting your top knee up and down. Head will be resting on your arm. As you lift, I want you to think about squeezing your glutes, which is your bum muscle, that muscle at the back of the hips. Really important in how your hip joint functions. A lot of people are just so weak through there, particularly because we spend so much of our time sitting and not exercising and not using those muscles. They just become weaker and weaker. The heels are together. We want to be lined up. Our shoulders, our hips and our feet. Make sure that you're in a straight line. And think of, again, squeezing through your glutes as your knee lifts. Think about contracting that muscle as the knee lifts up. If you feel fine with that, I want you to try it with your heels lifted. It's a good way just to open the hip a little bit more with the heels lifted. So with the heels lifted, pushing your knee up as high as you can, once again, squeezing through your glutes, and that's going to get that muscle switching on and activating really well. Push the knee up, open up as high as you can. You should start to feel it burning a little bit now, starting to fatigue. We're going to do 10 more. Let's go. 1, 2, opening as high as you can. 3, pushing that knee up. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and last one, 10, and we can drop the knees and feet down. We're going to swing around and we'll do that same exercise over on the other side. So once again, we want to start with that alignment. Heads resting on your arm. We've got our shoulders, our hips, and then our feet all in line. Keeping this hip still, so we're not moving the hip at all to get that knee up. Make sure the hip stays still. Squeeze your glute as you lift. Think about actively contracting that muscle. If you bring your hand onto your bum, you should be able to feel it tensing up. You should be able to feel that muscle working each time and then relaxing as the knee comes down. Again, if you want to make it more challenging, do it with the feet lifted.
So as we're lifting that knee up and down, also want you to think about pinching your heels together. So squeezing the heels as your knee lifts. We're opening as high as we can with the knee, and really think about squeezing through your glutes. Push that knee up a little bit higher. We're down to 10 now. That's 10, 9, squeeze your glutes. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and resting that knee down. Well done. We're going to continue back onto your back, doing a spine curl. We're tucking the pelvis, lifting your hips up off the mat, so we're rolling up onto the shoulders, rib cage down first, middle back, lower back, rolling back to neutral, and then going again, tucking the pelvis, lifting up. As you lift, squeeze your bum, squeeze those glutes, rolling back down. I want you pushing up as high as you can to the top, squeezing your glutes, and then rolling back down each time. Let's do a couple more. Just all about loosening up around the hip joints, getting movement back through those hip joints, getting some strength, and then stretching some of those tight muscles, which we'll do as well. Good. Bring your heels in a little bit closer towards your bum. I want you to lift up and hold, hands underneath your hips, and just push the hips up. So I've got the elbows tucked underneath us, the hands underneath our hip bones, and just push up, shoulder blades pulled back, squeezing your glutes. We're going to hold here for 10 seconds. That's just opening at the front of the hip joint. Rib cage lifted, hips up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let those hips go. Roll back down. Hug your knees into your chest. You're going to roll your knees side to side with the knees into the chest. So into the middle of your chest, out to the side, then circle them back around. Think about massaging your lower back onto the mat. Good. Circle the other direction. Open out towards the other direction. Okay, we're going to have one hand on each knee, and then just pulling your knees apart as wide as you can, and then bringing them back together. Again, pull the knees apart. It's going to stretch your inner thigh, and then bring the knees back together. Open the knees right out, stretch that inner thigh. You should be able to go a little bit further each time. You'll feel, the muscles are called your adductors. You'll feel those adductors giving and just easing up. Let's do 5 more of those. Each time we stretch a little bit further. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got one more here. And 5, bring your knees back together. We're going to come up, do a couple of stretches, kneeling. Okay, so in this position we're going to have 1 foot forwards, big step forwards on that front foot, and we're just going to have the hands on the back of your head. In this position, push your hips forwards as far as you can. You'll feel that stretch on the back hip flexor, and we're just going to bring it back, let that tension go, feel the muscle relax, and then go again. You'll feel that stretch again on that hip flexor. And then coming forwards and back. So we're just actively mobilizing that hip flexor, stretching it out and then releasing it. And once again, you're going to find we can go a little bit further each time. So the further we push into that stretch, and as we do more repetitions, that'll slowly open and loosen. Okay, on this next one, I want you to push your hips forwards and hold. And we're going to rotate side to side. So looking towards your left and then looking towards your right. Take it slow. Push into that stretch as far as you can. And then back to the other side. We're going to do one more either side. Rotate as far as you can. We've still got the hips pushed forwards. And then back to the other side. Good. Back to the middle. Same position. Straighten your front leg out. So the hands can come down to the mat. Straighten your front leg out. Keeping the chest up tall. If that's too much of a stretch, you can just bring the hands onto the knee and balance in this position with the chest up tall. If you can, bring the fingertips down to the mat. I want you to point your toes away from you and then pull them back towards you. That's just going to get that ankle involved as well. It's going to be stretching the front of the ankle and then the back of the ankle and push into that hamstring stretch. So targeting all of those muscles that sit around the hip joint. It's just going to free it up, loosen it up, get some strength as well. Good. One more in either direction. Pull the toes right back. Hold for a second here and then push away and stretch the front of that foot. And we'll do the same on the other leg. So back to our hip flexor stretch. Big step forwards with the opposite leg. Hands on the back of the head. We're pushing the hips forwards to start. Getting that stretch through the hip flexor and then taking it back off. Just hold for a second or so as you push forward. Try and open into that stretch, and then take it back, release, and we'll go again. Each time, think about just going that little bit further. Allow the muscle to relax in between. We'll go that little bit further. On this next one now, hold the hips forward, keep that position, and rotate. So push the hips forwards as far as you can, and then just rotate side to side, opening that hip flexor. Once again, going back to sitting, if we spend our whole day sitting, our hip flexors get really tight, our glutes get really weak, our hip flexors get really tight. That's a nice one just to stretch them out and lengthen your body, so we're not putting our back in a position where the pelvis is tilted forwards and the lower back tightens up. And back to the middle, last one, straighten that front leg out if you can, fingertips onto the mat. If that's too much of a stretch, just keep the hands on the knee and the chest up, back straight, leaning slightly forwards. With our ankle, we're going to point the toes away and then bring them back towards you. That's going to involve that ankle, that's going to get that full stretch down the back of the leg. Just a couple more as far as you can. One more in either direction. Hold the toes back towards you, pull into that stretch, and then point them away as far as you can, holding there, and coming back. Well done, guys. We are all done for another week. Great job, like I said, really happy to be at 20 classes. We're just going to continue them. If you've got this far in the class, I hope you've been able to take something out. I hope you've enjoyed it. If so, do me a favour, leave a comment below. Let me know what you want to see in future classes. Give us a bit of an idea of what you want to work on in some of these upcoming classes. Have a great week, have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.